Welcome back, everybody. We're here on Joe's Journey, 10,000 Steps to a Healthy Life. And Joe, we know that what we put in our grocery cart has the biggest impact on our health. So we want to go for beans and greens and sardines and berries and nuts and seeds. And today we have two amazing recipes. But before we start, I know that you picked up a lot of great items when we went on our grocery store tour. So tell me, how was that recipe and what'd you make?
Well, I'll tell you, that grocery tour, and I really appreciate that, that was at my local fruit center, and I picked up some really delicious halibut that I had grilled. I went home and I cooked that halibut and it was delicious. I complemented it with some roasted vegetables. I put some zucchini in there. I put some tomatoes in there, some peppers, both sweet and some hot peppers as well.
Sounds good.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So exactly what are we going to be doing today?
Okay, well, I'm glad you mentioned the fish because we know that fish is important and we should be getting fish at least 2 times a week. So today, America, people, I want to reach you, I want to reach out, and I want to challenge you to eat more plant-based. It doesn't mean you have to be a vegan. It doesn't mean you have to give up your favorite hamburger, but it means going meatless 1 day a week. And I have 2 amazing recipes that you can make ahead. They keep for the week. They're delicious, nutritious, and you know what? People come back for more. So let's start our first recipe. What do you think, Joe?
I think that's a great idea. You know, I was sharing with a friend just a few days ago that when I was growing up in our household, meat was the main course, and all of the vegetables were sort of like the side dishes. And now today, as a boomer, my understanding is that meat should be the side dish and the vegetables the main course. Is that about right?
Exactly, and sometimes I say it should even be a condiment.
Okay.
Maybe a little sprinkle of maybe a little cheese or a little an animal product, but really we need to make more plant-based main meals. And so let's get started with our first recipe. It's called quinoa tabbouleh. It's gluten-free. I don't know, do you know what quinoa is? People say quinoa what? Quinoa.
Is it a grain?
Well, you know what? Quinoa actually is a seed. It was used in the Inca. The Incas used it centuries ago, actually thousands of years ago. It's high in potassium. It has a complete protein. And NASA is actually going to take it up to space because it's such a complete food. It has magnesium, it has protein, it has less carbs, more fiber, and it's gluten-free, and it tastes amazing, and it cooks in less time than rice and some other grains. So it's actually a seed. So let's get started with our quinoa tabbouleh. First, you always want to use 1 cup of, it's a 2-to-1 ratio, so let's turn this on. All right, so here, let's turn this on high. Okay, so it's a 2-to-1 ratio. You always want to do 2 cups of water to 1 cup of quinoa. All right, so we're just gonna let that boil. So you want to bring your water to a boil, and you want to put your quinoa. And if you look, it's like a little seed, and it's very tasty. It's a little nutty, but it can be used in a savory dish. You can use it with, you can pair it with fruit, or you can make it a little more savory. And today's recipe is so amazing because it has such a plentiful mouthful of phytochemicals, antioxidants, and it really is delicious and nutritious. So while we're waiting for the water to boil, why don't we get chopping? What do you think?
Yes, let's chop. What are we chopping?
Okay, so if we have a variety, it has different herbs and spices, and when this dish calls for, I have organic parsley, flat leaf parsley, I have some mint, I love mint, and these herbs are rich in phytochemicals, and phytochemicals are plant chemicals that actually help neutralize free radicals, antioxidants. They neutralize free radicals in the body. They help protect our DNA. They help prevent inflammation in our diets. And people are not getting enough vegetables. And you know, your herbs are a veggie. So I eat herbs. I'll put mint in my drinks. I eat basil with my eggs. So what we have here, we have parsley, basil, we have some cilantro, and we also have some mint. So I chopped these things up in advance. So we're gonna just put this in. And I also have some garlic. And we know that garlic has allium and allicin, 2 powerful plant chemicals that are important for your heart health. They're good for your brain health. And I always say, if you don't like garlic, go home. I love garlic. Everyone in my life loves garlic. And here we go. Just realize, though, that recipes are just a guide. Recipes are just a guide, and you can change an ingredient, you can add something you like, you can take away something you don't like, but recipes give you a guide. All right, so we want to bring this to the boil, and the recipe originally, the recipe just called for 2 cups of quinoa. You make a lemon, olive oil dressing, salt, pepper, garlic, mint, parsley, and basil, right? Yeah. And I added, as an extra touch to the recipe, I added cucumbers and I added tomatoes. So just going to chop up chop up a tomato.
Okay.
And these are organic tomatoes. I know there's a lot of locally grown tomatoes, so let's put those in.
All right.
All right. Okay, so we have this in here.
There we go.
Great. And I'm going to just chop up a little more basil. So let's not forget to get some lemon. All right, so let's get that bowl. Let's put some lemon in. It calls for juice of a half cup of lemon and some olive oil. And you know what? I get to the point where I don't even have to measure. I can eyeball it, but at first use the recipe. That's what I recommend. People, the more you cook, the better it is. All right, great. So let's start our next recipe. Like I said, we have 2 amazing recipes. We have the quinoa tabbouleh, which is rich in fiber, antioxidants, potassium. It's a complete protein. That means that you don't have to have like beans and corn, or the quinoa actually has all the complete amino acids. So it's a perfect recipe for someone who is vegetarian or vegan, but it's also great for people who like a little meat because it's so flavorful. So while that is cooking, let's get on to our next recipe. We have an amazing black bean salsa. And so tell me, do you like beans?
Oh God, yeah. Beans are good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you...
Oh yeah, and the better you feel. So you know what? Eat your beans at every meal.
I'm with you.
And you know, beans are economical. They're so economical, and people do not eat enough beans. Did you know that even if you have a half cup of beans, a half cup of beans 4 times a week can actually decrease your cholesterol level. And eating beans, having beans in your kitchen is like having a medicine cabinet, because beans have potassium, they have phosphorus, they have fiber, they have protein. They have soluble and insoluble fiber, but you know what? People don't eat them enough, and they're economical, and you can get them canned, you can have them dried.
Pink beans.
Oh, yes, these are the pink beans. These
and
are just to show you. Yeah, we have pink beans, black beans.
All right.
And what I wanted to show you, and also, let's see. So we have, let's put, these are the pink beans. And if you look at the different labels here, these beans only have 130 milligrams of sodium, while these beans have 410. So when we're looking to reduce sodium levels, it is important to look at the labels.
And I know one for sure, I haven't been reading the labels, especially when it comes to buying beans, you know?
Okay.
This is good stuff to know.
Right, but when I'm cooking with beans, I tend to use the beans that have a little more salt because there's a better flavor retention, but we're gonna open these up and rinse them, and we're gonna reduce 40% of the salt. So can you rinse the beans for me?
I can do that.
All right, so let me just open it up. And so if you just take this to the back, and here, pour that in. Here we go. There we go. All right, just rinse all that sodium-laden sauce up there. All right, great.
Okay.
Okay. So while Joe is rinsing the beans, the quinoa is looking like it's almost finished, which is great. So what I also wanted to mention, that quinoa is high in omega-3s. Omega-3 is a polyunsaturated fat, which is good for your heart health, good for your joints, good for your brain. And if you don't like fish, a good way to get your omega-3s is through the good old quinoa. Omega-3 fatty acids, good for decreasing inflammation in the body.
I'm ready when you are.
All right. So let me just get this bowl. All right, so okay, so let's, I'm just gonna add this to this. So the quinoa's almost done, Joe.
Yes.
Let's keep this on.
Okay.
And they're thinking, what's going on? We got our quinoa going, we got our beans. So the beans, so what we need to put into the black bean salsa, we're gonna add some fresh tomato. And the recipe calls for 15 ounce can of beans rinsed. It calls for a cup of chopped tomatoes, seeded. But you know what? Do you have to follow all the recipes I say? Seed. Why do we want to seed the tomatoes? Then you get rid of a lot of bulk and flavor. I say keep the seeds in. So I always do that when I'm making bruschetta.
Okay.
I don't seed it because then you waste all that delicious nutrition. So we have the black beans, and can you hand me that bowl?
Sure.
The bowl with the beans. Okay, so I'm going to add tomatoes.
There you go.
And it also calls for some some hot pepper, a serrano pepper. Do you like it hot?
I like it
All
hot.
right, so it calls for 1 chopped serrano pepper. So let's put that in. So we're gonna put that over
Nice.
here. Why don't you hold that right there?
Okay.
Okay. It calls for some fresh cilantro. So I got a lot of cilantro. I got the cilantro, calls for a half cup of cilantro.
Okay.
So let's do that. Put that cilantro in. And we know cilantro, all your herbs and spices are full of B vitamins. B vitamins are good for your metabolism. They're good for your heart. And you know what? The mint and all the other, they're good for our breath too. So you know
Nice.
what? Forget the mouthwash. Let's eat more herbs, right?
Makes sense.
Okay,
That makes
great.
sense.
So we got the beans, we have the tomatoes, we have the cilantro, we have the serrano pepper. Oh, I make it a little more spicy. Remember when I was telling you that that recipes are just a guide?
Yes.
Well, I like it a little spicy, so I put in even a little more cayenne pepper. Want some cayenne pepper?
Some cayenne pepper
And
would
a little
be
behind us
wonderful.
for good luck.
All right.
And we also have some regular pepper. Okay, we got a little salt, and you know what? I like the adobo because it's all-purpose. It actually has some garlic, and it has a little. It has a little oregano. It has a little turmeric. So I'm going to put a little of this.
Even has
right?
turmeric in
yeah.
there. Well, you
and
know
then,
I'm partial to that.
oh yeah, and now we can't forget the garlic. Like I said, calls for one clove of garlic. If you don't like garlic, go home. So we got the garlic, right? All right, so that, and we also have a half cup of corn. So we got a half cup of corn.
Okay.
Now, let's show the finished product.
Wow.
So here's the finished product. So how does that look? Look at that. What we know, this black bean salsa is amazing. You can serve it over corn tortilla chips or some pita. Make enough for the weekend because people love it. This will store in your refrigerator for about a week. So that's what I
Really?
like. When I look at recipes,
Yes.
I look at recipes that will be able to have some that are not as perishable. You cook them and you prep them and you put them in your refrigerator and then you can eat them as the day goes on. And what this is great because the flavors meld together. It's even more powerful the second day. So let me tell you about again what's in it. You have a can of black beans rinsed, a half cup of frozen corn, and I got the organic sweet corn.
Okay.
It also calls for a half cup of tomatoes, 1 serrano pepper. Am I saying that right? A serrano pepper. Serrano pepper,
Serrano
right?
pepper,
It
yes.
also calls for a clove of garlic, salt, pepper, and for the heck of it, I put a little cayenne pepper. So you want to try some? Oh, let's see.
I like the
flavors.
idea that it keeps for a week.
You tell the audience. I don't know. What do you think?
This is working. This is working for me.
And you know what? You can even pair it with, if you wanted to put some, you can serve it as a main course. If you wanted to add a little fish, you could serve it over greens. It really is very versatile. So it doesn't just have to be on a chip.
So I could actually put it in, for example, a lettuce wrap or a cabbage wrap of
There
some
you
sort.
go. That's right.
Nice.
It
So
can
instead
be
of bread,
Yeah. All right. So enjoy. All right. So there we go. And guess what? The quinoa is ready. And the main course, the finished product, let's turn that off. And the finished course. So, what do you think?
here's what I think. You've made me aware of the fact that I can actually put together a plant-based weekly set of meals that I can keep in the fridge. Mm-hmm. And I like that because one of my biggest challenges has always been around proportion. I'm so used to, when I was raising my kids, cooking for a family of 3 or 4 or more. And then as a empty nester, I'm throwing out half of what I've cooked because I didn't know how to break it down in smaller sizes. I like what you've suggested here, particularly when I'm using ingredients that can actually store in the fridge. I like that very much.
And you bring up a good point because this quinoa tabbouleh, it will actually keep for about a week if you put it in separate containers. So
Okay.
you can portion them out and the flavors meld together. So it actually tastes better even 2 days from the preparation time, and it will keep. So I tell people when you go to the grocery store, first of all, you have to go with a plan, right? I say prepare to spare, people, because you have to check around what you have in your cupboards. You have to make a list. You have to get some recipes that you like. Remember, recipes are just a guide. If you don't like an ingredient, you could take it out. If you want to add something, then, fine. Sometimes I'll add strawberries to this and actually some chicken, and I want to show you something.
Wow.
So I tell people prepare to spare. So what I did here, I have about 4 of these in my refrigerator. I put the greens down, I put my quinoa tabbouleh, I put a little fresh, this is a fresh chicken breast that I baked, put a little salt, pepper on it. Sometimes I'll add strawberries, but really to have your ammunition, this is your ammunition. I go out the door with my food. I have my nuts, I have some prunes. Remember, nuts, seeds, beans, greens, and we need to eat more plant-based for our health, for our carbon footprint. And research is showing that the more vegetables we eat, and actually especially the greens, when we eat more greens, we need about 3 cups a day. And let me show you, we need to eat more greens because greens are shown to help prevent age-related dementia. And research was shown that when there was a population studied, some women over 60, and the ones who ate more greens actually had less mental decline. So I don't know about you all, but you know what? I'm going to eat my greens until I'm green. What do you think?
I'm right there with her.
All right, so hopefully today you have been inspired to, first of all, go to grocery shopping, right? Go to a grocery store that offers an array of fresh veggies. You maybe even want to go to a local market,
Right.
But we need to make sure that we're getting more vegetable-based main courses. And they're full of phytochemicals, antioxidants. And what are antioxidants? Let me tell you. Antioxidants actually decrease inflammation in our bodies. It helps to protect our DNA. It helps protect our brains and our health against cancer, and we need to eat more plant-based, people. I'm not saying that you have to go totally vegan, but we need to make our plant-based meals more the main courses versus some of the higher protein steaks. And people like to grill their meat at this time of day, this time of year. So in conclusion, ammunition. Get your ammunition. Make sure you have your food. Your ammunition is prevention. This is prevention on a plate. And we're too reactive as a society. And we need to really, especially the boomers, you need to take control of your health. And the first steps are what? What did you learn, Joe? What can you summarize from all the things that we've talked about the last couple weeks and on your healthy journey, 10,000 steps, Joe's healthy journey?
Well, what have I learned? I've learned that I have to actually re-educate myself. I have to sort of dispose of the old routines that I grew up with. It may have worked when I was in my 20s and 30s, but it doesn't work when you're in your 50s and 60s and beyond, especially when you're dealing with, aging joints. I've got a lot of buddies right now who are going through either kneecap or hip joint replacements, and we're having these interesting conversations around contributing ingredients that sort of trigger inflammation, if you will. So what have I learned? I learned to shop intelligently, read labels, particularly when you're going in the supermarket, pay more attention to all those items that are on the perimeter of the store.
You're a great student.
I'm trying. But I've also learned that I don't have to give up many of my favorite foods, particularly meat. It just needs to be proportioned, and it just needs to be in its proper place. And in this context, as opposed to being the main course, as you say, it could be a condiment. So that being said, I want to share with you something that I worked on, and I actually prepared it in advance of the show, so I just need to sort of pull it out of the fridge. So that's
beautiful.
This is what I call the manly version of a particular salad that was recommended by a cousin of mine who does a fair amount of gardening and growing.
Let's look at that. Wow.
Her website is I Cook and Garden, and I went on it and I found some really cool stuff. Thank you very much, Lisa. This is red cabbage. It is complemented with chopped cucumber, with avocado, with a medley of tomatoes, sweet Vidalia onion. I threw a little kiwi in there, and then topped it off with some quinoa, and then drizzle it up with a little bit of olive oil and lemon.
Joe, This is amazing. You know what you're getting? The avocados have potassium, monounsaturated fat, vitamin E, the cabbage, and the sulforaphane. It's a pigment. The wonderful, it's the nutrient that gives it its beautiful color. Is so good for our health. So this is really medicine on a plate, and it looks so good. And the quinoa is a complete protein. So this is a meal. I don't know about you, but can I take one?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
This is the idea. Cheers.
This is beautiful. All right, everyone. Well, I'll tell you, I think Joe is on his way to 10,000. I think you've climbed that mountain. I think you're on your way. I think you really you're on that path. And I know you're doing. Don't you do yoga now?
I am trying. Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, tune in our next episode where we're going to be doing yoga on the beach with Nancy Boyle, who runs an awesome program called Yoga for Boomers.
Well, listen, I can't wait for that.
Until next time, stay healthy, keep walking those 10,000 steps.
Keep on the path to wellness. Remember, prevention on a plate or in a cabbage leaf. I love it. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
All right.